My name is Ashley Matos. Welcome to our quarterly webinar where we will be recovering or reviewing some of the recent changes that WhoFi has put out in the past handful of weeks. Thank you for joining and for being interested in learning more about how WhoFi can tackle some of these different challenges that are happening at the library. This is a recorded webinar and we will share the information afterwards, so you're welcome to get those shared over to any staff members that were not able to make it, but maybe you thought that they would benefit from checking some sections out. So throughout our webinar today, feel free to submit any of your questions in the chat. My colleague, John Kerber, will be monitoring the chat today. He'll answer what he can, and if he can't, then he'll let me know. Thanks for being here, John.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm seeing some more people join. So again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw those into the chat. My name is Ashley. As we are jumping in, if you want to follow along in your account, you are more than welcome to. You don't have to. But if you can't get logged into your WhoFi account, or if you need any help, feel free to reach out. The support team is happy to help you guys make sure you can get logged into your account. So when you guys had registered for the webinar, we had asked some various questions for you guys about what you might be most interested in and what your role was, so that I could help best prepare for our conversation. So thank you for filling out those extra questions, as it helps us ensure that we're covering what you want to see. On our agenda today is to cover various different areas of the suite of services for changes that happen to the community calendar, for registration, spaces, and we'll also cover some changes to question sets in integration, and one area that changed in WiFi Analytics. So as a reminder, everything that I'll show you today is already available in your account and included in your subscription. So no need to worry about that. So if you guys are ready, we can jump in and check out our changes for the community calendar. So I've got a list here that we will, come on, there we go. We'll go through each of these different items, such as some new editing options that happened in your calendar menus. We'll go over our new draft mode and some extra options as well. So let me jump over here and drag and drop my testing account so I can show you these things in action. So thank you guys for joining as you guys are trickling in here. So first up, some libraries had asked for better organization of the fields in the community calendar editing menu, just to help better reflect a more streamlined workflow. So we sent out an email update that we call a product update a few weeks ago about a list of those changes that you could see before they actually happened, so we didn't catch you guys off guard. If we jump into the community calendar and open the calendar, we will see, go ahead and open up a new event here. We'll see some new options here. Well, the options are already here. They just look a little bit different. Some changes that happened is this drop down, or this time option, is no longer a drop down. You can actually type in your desired date and time for your program, so you don't have to scroll through the long list of options and get that entered into the account. You'll also see under some fields, you'll see an add button, making it even easier to add various options to the dropdown. So if the dropdown is editable in your account, you'll see these add options here. And the way that you can use these add options, let's say you're creating a program and you want to assign an audience, but you don't see the option that you see. If you click add, it will open in a new tab so you don't lose your progress. We'll come in here and add a new audience, let's say pet lovers. You're trying to do a pet lovers program. It'll add that audience, and if we go back to that other tab, you can hit this little refresh icon right here, and it will go and pick up that newly added audience, so you don't lose your progress there. That is available for all three of those, and I believe there's a shortcut here for a registration form as well. So what has moved in the editing menus? If we go into the event option, we'll see that Spaces has been moved to this first tab, so you can quickly find it and assign any on-site programming for your program. We also provided an off-site option, so we'll see Spaces disappear if it's off-site, and you'll see a field here for alternative location. This field used to be under registration, but it made more sense to add it to the first page. So if your program is happening somewhere else, you can provide the address or just say the local senior center. You can type in that right there. Our second tab is the website tab. We have grouped all of those patron facing fields for category, which controls the color of the program, your audience, which will remove the age drop down. If you don't want to advertise with these age drop downs, you can use the audience drop down instead. And lastly, the organizer option. So you can provide a contact information for the person, especially if you're co-hosting a program with an outside organization. Our third tab is now the registration tab. And when we add a registration form, we'll see some more organized features with some easy to understand drop downs. We will see these nice hub of registration types. If you turn on time slots, those other options that don't apply, they disappear, and you've got some options there. And under registration start and end dates, it'll tell you more clearly that the start date at the moment is immediately, but you're welcome to change those here just for better communication. Lastly, all of your internal options such as attendance and notes, those can be found under the extras tab. So you can add your attendance. It even says attendance right there so you don't forget where it went. And we'll see those attendance fields across the top, as well as any extra details you want to provide about your program. So up next, our drafting mode. If you have any questions on that, feel free to throw those in the chat. Libraries had wanted more control over event creation and publishing, and they had requested a way to draft, review, and schedule events before they would appear publicly. So the ability to draft out programs before they're ready for the general public and allow a sort of approval process internally by your staff. Public view, this option here under website, we heard some feedback that public view wasn't really cutting it for this purpose. You couldn't schedule when a program would go live and be published. So to get started with draft mode, if we go under your setup and advanced, we'll go down here and you'll see an option for calendar settings. And we've got an option down here to enable draft mode. Do talk with your team before you turn this on so you don't confuse everybody because it does apply to everybody who has a login for your WhoFi account. But if we go ahead and turn this on and hit save down here at the bottom, make sure you use this one. I don't think this save button will save it. The next time you are creating an event, you will then see a new option called Save as Draft. So if we go in here and create a program, actually, let's go back. I want to make it in the future for you guys. So let's click on the 26th. So let's call this our draft book club. You don't have to start it with the word draft, but you are more than welcome to. And let's say that you're trying to plan out some details, but you're not quite sure about exactly what you want to do with the program, but you have a really good idea. And you'll have this option down here to save it as a draft. Now, it's not public. Nobody will see it on your website, but your team will see it internally. And you'll know by the italics that it is a draft program. You'll also see over here a new hub. We'll see a fifth option over here called draft events. And this will be a list of the next year's worth of drafted events so you don't miss anything. And those will be available for your team to preview and add extra details. Let me look at my notes, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Awesome. So if we go to make any changes to this event, the other benefit for using draft mode is some libraries wanted to be able to preview that registration form before it goes live. You have the ability to schedule when your registration goes live, but you didn't have the ability to see it before it was live for the general public. So if we go to registration and assign a registration form, let's say 15 people can join and 2 people are on the wait list. Because it's still a draft event, let's go ahead and save it as a draft, but you'll now have the option to view this guy online, even though nobody else can see it from your website. We will see a giant word preview over the top so that you know it's not live, and you're welcome to see your registration form just to make sure that it's set up exactly how you'd like, and you're welcome to even register people ahead of time. So if we go ahead and register myself, we'll go ahead and register. There are emails that do get sent out if you are registering people while it's still in draft mode. And then After you are finished previewing it and you're satisfied with it, if we look at the registration list, we'll see that it wasn't a test. I actually am on the registration list. When you're ready for it to go live, you can use this drop down here to publish now, or you can schedule when it will be published. So you can give it a date and a time down here at the bottom to ensure that it goes live exactly as you would like it to. And all of this is available for reoccurring events as well. You can decide when the drafted event goes live per event, or you can launch all of your reoccurring events all at the same time. That is up to you. So that's what I've got for draft mode. If you guys have any questions on that, again, feel free to drop those in the chat. Leave our calendar options here. So up next, libraries have let us know that there wasn't a way to confirm that there were indeed 0 people who had attended your program. You still want to get credit for hosting the program, and you don't want to delete it off the calendar because then it would remove it from the sync in your question sets. And you still need to, you would still want to report programs that you host with 0 attendance to your state annual surveys. But you wanted to get it off of the list for your missing attendance. If we jump into the dashboard, the feedback told us that this missing attendance one was still showing events that even though they still had 0 people attend. So what the team did was we've added a new option called confirm 0 attendees. So if we go ahead and review this list, let's say you're going through the list, making sure you add all of your attendance, but your cookbook club, this event right here, let's say, unfortunately, nobody was able to attend. So if we go to details and go to extras, you have a 0 here, but you've also got this option here to confirm 0 attendees. If we check mark this box and hit save, and yep, it was only for this event, it will now be removed from your menu over here, and it will be removed from that filter for missing attendance up here on the archive. So now you've confirmed 0 attendance, it's now off of your list to ensure attendance has been added. Libraries had wished for an easier way to mark that a longer program was happening, more than one day, like a book sale, or sometimes libraries will. I've seen it before where you would what's the word? I want to say cooperate, coordinate, there we go, with your friends at the library maybe. And you've got like a weekend long event happening. You would have the option in the community calendar to provide an end date, but you didn't have an end date in Spaces, which is where we improved that. So we made some improvements to make this happen. The public side, if you are to create a multi-day program, if we view this event on the public side, it now will show all of the dates that it is lasting for. Previously, it did not. And that end date also now shows in Spaces. So when you have a space booking applied to the event, you will automatically create a booking when you do that. And if we view the booking, we will now see an end date here as well. So this will be helpful to make sure that longer bookings in Spaces are happening for the days that you intend it for, and you have better control over that end date. Our library partners are very creative. You guys are very creative. And some libraries were using Spaces to create like an exhibit space. Maybe you've got a glass area where people would create a item and you'd want to exhibit it in there. They wanted to be able to use the end date to kind of say like, yeah, between now and next week, that exhibit has been taken. So that's another use case for that end date in Spaces.
There's something in the chat that I'm not sure the answer to. It says, is it possible to have different times on the different days? So if you've booked kind of multiple days, example, the Friday book sale is 3 to 4 p.m., but then the Saturday book sale is 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. How would you do that?
Yeah, good question. Um, You could do it this way, where you've got it kind of blocked off between 3 and 4, because overnight, maybe you want that space to remain the same. You don't want anybody else to be booking it during that time. However, in the calendar, if you want to ensure that you're communicating that, you could add that in the description, kind of say on Thursday, these are the hours, and on Friday, these are the hours. The alternative to that would be to set it up this way. If we clone it, let's say your book sale is on Friday and like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sure. There we go. and we would save that only for that 21st. Let's save that. See if yep, there was going to be a conflict. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Okay, let me start over. I would create that as two different events. That's another option. You could create it as one event on the 21st and assign the space that you need and create a second event on the 22nd. That way you have both of those times listed. Does that answer your question, hopefully? Let me know if that does not.
Like, it sounds like it would probably need to be 2 events is the way to handle that, so and she says
I
it
think
does.
that would be best. Yeah. And if you want to ensure that nobody's using the space between those two different programs, you could create a longer booking on the spaces side. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah. Great question. Cool. So back to printability. We were wanting to improve the printability of the community calendar and how the calendar could be printed. Um, the old way to do this would be to do Control P on your keyboard. But unfortunately, it wasn't always the most print friendly. You would have to kind of come in here and edit like the style of how you were going to print it. So we did away with that. You don't have to do that anymore. There's a magic button up here at the top to print as a PDF. And for the current month that you are viewing, so if you wanted to print off December, you would just view December and hit print and then hit download, and then it will download as a PDF. So this will be available for printing, and each of the events have a link that is clickable. So you can click on morning coffee and go straight to the events page right here. And that's super helpful if you have registration happening. Um, Many libraries just wanted to make sure that while you may have digital displays, several partners had shared that particularly older or rural audiences still really enjoy taking home print calendars. So this enhancement will help make sure that you reach all of your audiences, ensuring that no patron is left behind by being able to print that. Awesome. Great. So lastly, for the community calendar, we will cover the all-day booking option. If we go over to the community calendar and create a new event here, let's say this is an all-day program, whether it's like an open crafting table, you have the option here to mark this as an all-day program. This will then display as all day on the patron side as well. So if we go ahead and save this and look at this guy online, we will then see that instead of showing a time, it just says all day. So that will then better communicate the nature of the program to your patrons. And that all day option is also available in spaces. And we'll see that later when we cover spaces. Awesome. Any questions on the community calendar before we jump into our next topic?
And Clara is saying, I've also been struggling with recurring programs that have an irregular occurrence. But I think making each their own event and utilizing tags and categories is her answer to that for now. Does that does that sound right, Ashley?
Um, Irregular reoccurrences. I'd be
Yeah.
curious about what the irregular means.
Yeah. It.
I know I
Go
get
ahead.
a common question about maybe I have a program on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of the month. Typically, in those cases, I don't know if this applies to what you are discussing, but typically in those cases, I would create, like, you would click on the 2nd Tuesday, make that a monthly reoccurring event, save it, and then clone it for the 4th Tuesday of the month. That way, you have both of those repeating. They might not be connected necessarily, but it would display repeating in that pattern. Does that kinda help?
Yeah, it could be. She's also saying in the chat, sometimes it's like the second Friday, sometimes it's the third, sometimes it's a Tuesday. So it's a little bit more of just kind of a random
Mm,
schedule.
yeah, that totally makes sense. In those cases, you could recreate it, like, weekly, but then you have this drag and drop feature just to make sure, like, we moved it around, it's actually happening over here. So you can drag and drop it that way. I am hearing you, though. There is some, plans it's on the list for the team to make that better. Like, maybe instead of that reoccurring drop down, we could provide, like, a calendar for you to pick, like, it reoccurs on this day, and this day. But that's currently on the list for us to consider. Yeah.
Great. And yeah, she also said that that drag and drop helps. So
Oh, wonderful. There we go. Yeah. Drag
we're
and
on a
drop
good.
is available on it's on
Yep.
the calendar. It's on week view, so if you want to like move it up an hour, you can move it up an hour like that. Drag and drop's also available in Spaces bookings if you need to move the large all-day program to the day before or even to a different room. You can drag and drop it really in any area. All right, so let's talk about some of our registration updates. We've got some updates here for adding more time to time slots. We've made an update to our per attendee registration, and we've also put out an update for full capacity time slots. So let's take a look at what those look like as well. So for registration, some programs that use your time slot registration, they might get full. And libraries needed an easier way to be able to add more time to your time slot registration. So I went ahead and created a program over here called Read to a Dog. Let's say you've got a therapy dog coming to the library and you want your patrons to be able to come and register and you want them to show up for a specific window of time during the entire program. We can go ahead and create a time slot program for that. But let's say all of your boxes for reading to the therapy dog have been taken. There's no more available, but you want to extend it so that more people can join your program. How do we do this? If we go into your Read to a Dog, previously you could not adjust the time. It wouldn't let you because it might have broken some things. However, it does not do that anymore. If we come in here and say, let's extend this to 6:30 and hit save, it's going to give you a warning just to make sure that you are good with that change. And then on the external side, we'll see a new option pop up down here, and it will leave existing registrations unaffected. So we made that really easy to add some extra time slots there. Libraries had also requested for the ability to have more control over the fields that patrons fill out whenever they are collecting registration information per attendee, just to make it really clear about what exactly you are collecting. So if we jump back into here, you might be asking, what is per attendee? That's kind of my short code for this magic option. If we go to Setup in Advanced and go to Registration Forms, I've got an option here, or a registration form, let's edit it. This box right here is kind of what I call the per attendee option. In long, it says collect custom fields, which are these fields down here. Collect custom fields information from each attendee. To show you what this does, if we go back to our calendar and open up our, I created an event already to shorten some time. What this does, turning on that box, will create an option down here to where instead of them typing in a total number of party, let's say that they're bringing 2 people, it removes that option here, and instead you will be prompted to provide information per attendee, which is why I call it that. So if we click add attendee, it will then ask for the information for that second and third and fourth attendees up to so many seats that are available. So if we fill all of this out, this would notate a party of 2, Ashley, and let's say I bring my husband, Connor. So if we fill that out, that's the per attendee registration. That's been around, I don't know, maybe over a year. But the enhancement that we did was we added this field right here. So you can make it even more clear that not only am I collecting custom fields information, which are all of these questions below that you would add, you now have the control to be able to say, yeah, I also want to get their phone number and I also want to get their email. So you can control that customization there. And lastly, for registration, time slots that would, we had some libraries tell us that their time slots would close when an entire time slot was taken, even though that maybe the time slot wasn't necessarily full. For example, I had a library tell me that she was trying to use the time slots registration for a tie-dye event. She wanted maybe 5 or 10 people to show up per time slot, like per window of time. But the second maybe a party of 1 person would take that time slot, nobody else could join. And that wasn't ideal for her. So in order to combat that, we kind of came out with what the team calls version number 2, time slots version 2. What we gave you guys is this option over here. If we open registration, is this option here, full capacity time slots. And if we hover over that little tooltip right here, it says, check the box to allow your time slot to reach its full capacity by multiple reserving parties. So what this does is it will make sure that 10 people can show up or more to each of those time slots. So what does this look like in action? So go back to the calendar. I've got two events here to kind of show you a before and after. We've got a max capacity time slots where if we view this guy online, you've got your time slots here. And if we fill this in, let's say Ashleigh is coming and it's a different email. And if I go ahead and register, it will not make that box red. It will continue to allow multiple people to join that box. And we saw that the seats had been decreased. The before and after that I want to show you is that if you use that box that we saw earlier, this box here, full capacity time slot, that will prevent each of those options from going red. The additional setting that you can throw on top of that is this option here, max seats per time slot. So you want multiple people to show up per time slot, but maybe you want to put a cap on how many people can show up for each of these options. So the before and after is this other event that I've got here. If you have full capacity turned on and a number displayed in this box here, max seats per time slot, and we view this guy online, it will then tell the person how many seats are available per time slot. So if we go ahead and register and say 2 people are going to come with Ashleigh and select this one, register, it should let me through, and then go back, it'll then say 3 seats are available for this event there. So there's some few different ways that you can do that, and hopefully those enhancements make sense.
Veronica had asked, can there be an easier way to view which registration forms that you have? I wasn't 100% sure if she meant kind of while she's creating a program or if she meant kind of when you see all the forms, if there's a way to see them together. So, but yeah, any thoughts on that? Like an easier way to view registration forms that someone has?
Yeah, good question. So I'm assuming your experience, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. You go to the registration tab and you're really not sure which one's which. Maybe your staff hasn't described them well enough. You could, cool. You could use this add button here to very quickly get to your registrations list, and it'll take you here, and you can hit edit and kind of learn like what the extra questions are. And you can add those extra to the form name. That way, the next time that you're filling out your registration forms, you can make sure that you're clicking the right one. If you have something else in mind, feel free to let us know. You could use the drafting mode feature that we had covered earlier. Maybe you wanted to apply a form, save it as a draft, view it, make sure it looks good, and then make it live. So you could do something like that. If that doesn't help, let me know if you had a magic wand, what you would like it to do. Awesome. Sweet. So let's look at some of our integration updates. So in our group of section here, we had some libraries ask for the ability to change the color of their buttons in the community calendar, and you can now do that with CSS. There's some new fields that we've provided in RSS. There is some new logo redirect options, and lastly, we've added an iCal integration, so we can take a look at some of those.
It looks like there was one more question about registration, and this is from Stephanie, and she's saying, is there a way to add text directions for pay stubs to see? It says, example, enter no email at gmail.com for patrons. So is there a way to add text directions for pay stubs or for, sorry, for patrons to see? Ah, okay. That's what's going on there.
Okay, I think I
Text.
know what she's asking. If we go to edit, if we go to edit a registration form, um, you can't at the moment add tooltips for these questions, but I think you can. Yeah, so if you edit some of your custom questions, you've got a field tooltip here. And if you add like your text directions, you can add additional information for what you mean by that question, like type in no email at gmail.com to bypass that. Does that help potentially? They would see that on the registration form whenever they're filling that out. So for example, let's add like a test option here. Go to the calendar, create a form. I'll do this real fast. Turn off registration and save and test and open. They'll see this option here to hover over and view whatever you've tested or whatever you've typed out. Can that extra bit be moved closer to the question? Like closer, like you'll have to let me know a little bit more about that. Maybe we can talk after the webinar to figure out exactly what you're looking for. Okay, cool. Integration. So let's cover some of those updates. We've got, oh gosh, time is flying by. Some libraries had emailed in, actually coincidentally, all at the same time. Some libraries had emailed in asking about the ability to change the color of the buttons on their website's integration. I wish I had an example for you, but let's go to, oh, wrong one. I did it again. No, type only 3 letters. There we go. Um, some libraries had asked for the ability, so when you've integrated the calendar already on your website, they wanted to kind of change these colors of these buttons here so that they would look more on brand with your website because it's integrated on the website. So we made some improvements to the CSS capabilities. I personally do not know CSS, so hopefully someone on your staff does know CSS. If we go to Setup in Advanced and go to Calendar Settings, scroll down to the bottom, you've got a field here to perform custom CSS commands. And my team has provided lots of class names so you can figure out what you're trying to edit, and hopefully that makes sense for the people who know CSS. I personally do not, but you're welcome to use that extra area to provide some extra flexibility around what you would like the integration to look like. Libraries had also asked for more flexibility in the ways that libraries could use our RSS and JSON feeds to integrate into other digital spaces, such as their websites, your e-newsletters, maybe even your digital platforms around the library. They wanted to be able to automate more information into moving information from your WhoFi calendar into other digital spaces. So the team had added some extra fields to the feeds to be able to show more information about registration and making feeds available to filtering. I don't really have an example to show you, so hopefully that makes sense to the people who know RSS and JSON. Previously, there were no fields about registration, and now there are. So you have extra flexibility there. For uh, libraries had wanted a way to direct patrons to different websites based off of what they clicked on in the integration. Previously, if we clicked on, let's say, let's open a program. If we clicked on the logo previously, before this enhancement, it would take you to the same area as clicking on Sequel Calendar in the featured widget. However, the team has now separated those out. So going to Sequel Calendar can now take you to a different area than clicking on the logo. And the way to control that is to go to Setup and Advanced, and we'll go back to Calendar Settings, and we'll see these 2 fields here. So when you click on the logo, where do you want it to redirect? And when you click on See Full Calendar, where do you want it to redirect? So you do have those 2 different options there for you to review. And lastly, for integration, libraries had asked for a way to get WhoFi events onto other calendars, like for example, a Google Calendar, to make it more easy for libraries to share their events with external calendars, like maybe city or partner website calendars. We have now provided a new feed called an iCal feed by using ICS files. So to get to your different feeds, first, you would need to let the service team know that you're interested in turning on those RSS, JSON, or iCal feeds. We have to turn that on in your account. And then we'll provide those feeds for you. There is lots of instructions that I can provide you guys for how to get the WhoFi information into your Google Calendar. If you're interested in that, I can send you a video so that you have a way to kind of pause and watch it. There are 2 different ways that you can get WhoFi events into a Google Calendar. You can do a rolling 90 days where it will constantly pull updates from WhoFi and show those in Google, but it won't allow any editing in Google. The second way is to upload 90 days worth of events at a time, where you would download a file and upload those into Google, and then they would be editable. So you got 2 different ways that you can accomplish that. If you're interested in that, feel free to throw that in the chat that you'd like to see a video about how to accomplish all of that. We are getting there on time, so I want to make sure that we show everything else that's on the list. Awesome. So those updates for the integrations will give your library and staff more control, improve internal coordination, and just ensure that your event calendars remain accurate and timely and visualized exactly where you would like it and aligned with your branding. We have streamlined our importing process to make it even easier for libraries to bring in both historic and current data, which will help reduce the manual entry of data into your question sets as well as the setup time. We've also added some extra yearly indicators and an ability to do weekly and quarterly reporting inside of your question sets. So let's take a look at some of those. I'm going to close out our tabs. If we go to question sets, in your account, you should already have access to your state's annual survey. You also have the ability to add any additional custom question sets with your own spreadsheets. So with the improvement that we did, we have improved the way to get outside information of, like maybe it's already on a spreadsheet, into your WhoFi account. In short, the way you would do that is we would go to Setup and Advanced, and we'll come down here to find question sets and click on Imports. Your Imports dropdown is going to ask you which question set do you want to enter your information for, and we can choose your state one or maybe a custom one that you've created. And then it's going to ask you, are you keeping track of the data on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual basis? So most of the time the answer is monthly. You're keeping track of that monthly on a different spreadsheet. And then you can pick the timeline for the year that you'd like to import the data for. And when we begin the import, you'll have the ability to upload your file, and it will give you some import instructions as well as an example file, just to really make sure that you know how to get that information imported into your account. If you need any help at all with your importing process, feel free to let the service team know. We'd be happy to aid you in that import process. You are more than welcome to just send us whatever custom spreadsheets that you have, and we will recreate that as a question set in your account and import your historic data in your account complimentary. So feel free to let us know. We had a request for adding more clear reporting year indicators after we had learned from some libraries that it was very easy to mistakenly enter data into the wrong year after their reporting period had closed. So what we did is if we open up one of these question sets, you always had this dropdown up here to tell you what year you were on, but what you didn't have was even more indicators to show what year you are editing. So we'll see that under our annual, we will see the year and month here, which in my opinion is actually super handy because when you see fiscal 26, you might not remember that it ends in the year 2026. So being able to see the year and the month next to it is also, in my opinion, pretty helpful. And then under daily, you'll always see the year next to the month that you're editing just to make sure you're in the right spot. And lastly, for question sets, we've continued development with new report cadence options, which will allow you guys to view quarterly or weekly insights in addition to your monthly and your annual summaries. So this will provide you guys with more flexible, actionable insights, helping staff spot trends earlier and making more timely, informed decisions. You may not see it in your state survey quite just yet, but you'll always have the ability to edit and add those into your custom question sets. So this one was created by my location, so you'll have the ability to add that to, you can add weekly and quarterly to the question set as a whole. You can add it to the category or you can add it to the question. If you're interested in expanding those options, feel free to let the service team know and we can aid you in making sure that all of those have been added to your different question sets. For WiFi Analytics, many of our library systems and partners had requested greater flexibility when viewing and reporting Wi-Fi data across multiple locations. Previously, systems had received individual branch reports and a monthly roll-up of all of the branches, but self-service reporting was limited. So this enhancement will allow system administrators to view, analyze, and report on each branch's data directly from your primary account or a combination of all of your branches, which will no longer require you to jump between locations or a manual compilation. It will also provide you with the ability to look at a 6-month time frame instead of just 30 days on demand. So here is our testing system account, ABC Library, whoop whoop. And on the top right, if your library is a system, you know you've got these different branch options, but now you don't have to flip. You don't have to change locations in order to see the information. You've always had the ability to go into monthly reports and download your Wi-Fi reports as a system directors report, which will show you totals and branch breakdowns. But what you didn't have previously was this drop down. You didn't have the ability to see all of your branches in one report. So if you open library session count, it previously would only give you a total, or actually, I don't think it gave you a total at all, but now it does. It gives you a total now, and you have the ability to hit this drop down and you can see the breakdown for each of your branches. So you will be able to see that in your on-demand reports. So over here on the left is what we call the on-demand reports or your self-service reports. So that is the enhancement there. So for spaces, we've got new editing menus, new booking rules. You can book combinations of split rooms. We've improved scheduling conflicts. Your pass times are now grayed out. That way nobody's trying to book in the morning when it's already the afternoon. Your lists are now sorted by branches and you get closure warnings. So let's look at some examples of all of these. Yeah, I think we're doing good on time. We've got 16 minutes. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to show you guys everything. Awesome. So libraries had asked for, just like in the community calendar, more organization to the fields in your editing menus to be able to see a better streamlined workflow whenever you're creating bookings in your spaces schedules. So if we go to spaces and bookings, we will see, go ahead and click on a day and an event, or sorry, I said event because the word event's right there, a room. So what's new? The basic booking information will always be available as a banner across the top after you've created the event. So let me actually go open one that already exists. So let's click on like this one down here. So you've got this banner across the top so you can always make sure that you're making edits to the right booking and not the one that you don't intend to. You also got that all day booking option down here that we saw in the community calendar. It's also available here so you can book off an entire day worth for the space. We've added organization up here as a new field. Right now, it's just an internal field, but the team has plans to make the organization an option for the patrons to fill out on the website and the ability to make that more searchable internally. We had some feedback from libraries letting us know that maybe the Girl Scouts were booking the room and you had a different contact information for the patron name. And when the Girl Scouts showed up to the library, you type in Girl Scouts and you couldn't find it. So we're going to improve all of that, hopefully with the organization field. You can also type in your desired time for your spaces down here. You can say 9:15 and it will default to 1 hour after, but you can change it to like 11:30. So you can type in those fields, no more scrolling. And we've also provided an optional payment status field to mark if the booking has been paid or not. If we go to setup and equipment, we'll see some of your fields here. And you've got this new drop down here for payment status. We know lots of rooms don't have payment options. However, if your room does have a payment option, this is currently just an internal staff field for them to be able to mark if it's been paid or not. There are some plans in the works to make payments even easier in your WhoFi account, but at the moment you've got that awesome new field here. So what has moved in the account? Your first tab will now group all of your contact information and your custom fields for faster intake. Previously, it was like name at the top and email at the bottom. It was kind of everywhere. So now you've got all of that grouped together here. And if you have any custom questions for the space, you'll see those available in this dropdown right there. It looks like this study space doesn't have any. Your second tab will house your staff interactions, such as the stage of the booking, any notes that you want to provide, being able to assign movable equipment. Like let's say you've got a projector that moves between different rooms. You want to be able to assign that to the booking, and you've got that payment status here as well. We have merged that third tab for movable equipment into the second tab. So now you only have those two tabs here. And the information that was under the third tab is now here. So there is that. Libraries had requested the ability to receive more advanced notice when bookings came from your website and more control over how your spaces are being used. So the team has added two new rules that you can apply to your spaces to have more automated control over your space management. If we go to Setup and Advanced, down here we'll see an option here for Space and Makerspace Rules. If you've not seen this before, welcome to the area. If we go to Add a Rule, the newest rule that we've added down here is booking must be made so many days in advance of the intended date. Libraries told us that they did not like not having enough advanced notice. So if you don't want anybody to make any bookings for today, you can just type in a number 1 and it will communicate that to the patron. That will tell them must be made so many days in advance. They click a magic button and it says take me to the next day, and it will take them to the next available day. So that's the newest rule. While we're here, if you're unfamiliar with rules, you've got some other rules here, such as cannot book so many days in advance. So if you don't want them to look beyond 30 days, that way they're not booking too far out, you've got that option there. Cannot book so many hours in a single booking. Let's say you only want them to book 2 hours max per booking when they're on your website. And this one here, same email, cannot book more than so many times within a given time frame, just to make sure that nobody's monopolizing your space. So if you create those rules and you'll add them, you'll then apply them to your space. If we go to Spaces and Spaces, I know, Spaces and Spaces. If we hit Edit, you'll come down here and you'll see a fairly new dropdown, which is where you're able to apply the rules, and you'll hit Save down here. Those rules will apply automatically. They will not affect any of your staff inside account interactions. They will only apply to your patron experience. The second new rule that we had added was the ability to apply a global rule. So we were just looking at the rules area, but global rules will apply to all of your spaces. Previously, the add rule, currently, add rule is a way for you to add different sets of rules so you can apply them to different spaces, but the global rule will apply to all of your spaces. So if we read this, cannot book more than so many spaces in a given time frame using the same email or library card. So this will make sure that one person isn't taking too many of your spaces during a given time frame. That will apply automatically if you turn on that checkmark box and apply these options and dropdowns. You don't have to apply it anywhere. It just applies globally to your entire account. Spaces could always handle a room split into various different sections. So for example, if you've got a large conference room that maybe you can draw a partition down the middle, so you got a left side and a right side. But it wasn't until recently that those split sections could be combined into different groups to be able to book more than one section. So previously, we've always had the ability to split a large room into maybe like a left and a middle and a right side. But the enhancement that we made is being able to manage large divisible rooms is now even easier. So if we go ahead and split our big space one more time, if you already have 3 splits like A, B, and C, you now have the ability to kind of merge combinations together. So let's say you want them to be able to book the left and, oh, sorry, not the right side. That doesn't make sense. The left and the middle side. So you can create a combination of those 2 different areas, and you can call it left and middle. Might make sense if you actually use A, B, and C, you know. Maybe my calling names don't make too much sense. So then by using this option here, it will create a combined schedule and make sure that nobody is double booking various different areas. So if your library has that scenario where you can split it into 3, 4, 5 different sections, then this is an enhancement for you. It's really helpful to clone your space settings from one of those options. Like you can come in here and click the middle section just to make sure it clones everything, and then you can make edits for that combination as you see fit. So when we go ahead and create that combination and go back to our spaces and spaces, we will see left and middle is what I called it, but in parentheses, it's telling you that it is a combination of your left and middle sections. And if we go to bookings, we will then see left and middle available here. So for example, if I drag and drop our all-day program to the left and middle, it'll create ghost programs so that you can see that nobody's able to take those spaces and the entire space during that time, but the right side is still available. It'll also present that available to the patrons to be able to book that as a combination, just to make sure that they're booking enough space for their needs. Library feedback had expressed difficulty with some of the pop-ups that had prevented double bookings on the staff side. They knew that preventing them was super important, but it also sometimes it just felt like a dead end when you were trying to, you would create a program, you would try a room and it would say booked, and you would try another room and it would say booked, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's the room that is available? If we go into the calendar, I know we're talking about spaces, but it's applicable in the calendar also. Our all day program is happening in left and middle. So let's say you're trying to create a program and you've got your staff, maybe they didn't know that the left and middle was taken and they tried to choose, let's choose left and middle. Yeah. And save, you'll get, oops. Oh no. Maybe that's a problem with the all day booking. Let's try our cookbook club. You know, it's never, let's do a test for our study room. There we go. Maybe I did something wrong on that last one. Let's save it. So now I've got a test in our study room. I'm trying to emulate that pop-up that you would get because I want to show you that you'll have new options for, why is that happening? Maybe I'll have to, I don't know why that pop-up's not happening. I'll get with the team and find out, but you would get a pop-up that would say that the space has been taken, and you'll get an option to view in a new tab, and it will show you the schedule for all of your different areas. So you can kind of move things around or pick a new space to make that even easier. So I'll find out what I'm doing wrong to not make that pop-up happen. So next, it wasn't obvious at first glance when some rooms had already had times in the past, which were showing on the patron booking side. So the enhancement that we made is that times are that have been passed, like they're already in the past, are now grayed out. So if we look at our patron public side, oh, something is broken, John. Let me try a different link. Maybe that link isn't good anymore. Okay, what is happening? Okay. I don't know
Yeah.
why that's not, let's go to Nevada. Maybe I broke something on that testing account. Oops. If we go to book a space for Nevada Public Library, we'll see all of those areas where the time has already happened. They're grayed out, so it's easier at a glance to see which times for the rooms are no longer available. Awesome. Two more things to cover for spaces. When you add a closure to your WhoFi account, there is now a new pop-up warning letting you know that if you try to book a space or a program during that holiday or that closure, it'll just let you know, hey, heads up, there is a closure. Do you want to continue? So if we go ahead and go to our calendar, I've got a closure added here for Thanksgiving, but because I've clicked on Thanksgiving trying to create a program, it's telling you, hey, do you want to continue to create a program on Thanksgiving? And you can say yes or no, just to make that even easier for your staff that maybe they're going too fast and they don't realize that it's closed. And that same thing will happen over on Spaces. You'll get that pop up there as well. And lastly, the Spaces list of rooms for library systems that have multiple branches, it wasn't always sorting all of your branches or grouping them together. So this is now resolved. We've made it even easier to see all of your different spaces. I'm going to pull up Van Buren real fast. If you're on here, shout out. But you will see a header here for the branch, and you'll see all of the rooms that happen under that branch. And if we scroll to the bottom, the Webster Memorial has multiple rooms or spaces here, and you'll see them all available under that branch header. And as you scroll, you'll see that it's kind of sticky. So that makes it even easier for your staff to be able to recommend maybe a alternative space just in case your branch doesn't have enough availability for their needs. That's everything that I had to plan to cover for today. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me if you have my email, or you can reach out to support@whofi.com if you have any feedback. Hopefully these things make your guys' lives even easier in WhoFi, and I look forward to our next webinar where I have another long list of enhancements to show you guys from WhoFi. So that's everything that I have. I'll stick around for a minute or two if you guys have any questions, but that is everything. So I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for joining. Bye, guys.